love Borderlands, but sometimes I hate it. Sometimes we get an end game that has us inflicting one status ailment that makes us do double the damage while holding a gun that heals us to 90% of our health. We have an end game that completely fills our screen with status effects and status ailments and pollutes the entire screen to the point where we can't fucking see anything, and has a whole bunch of guns and action skills that do so ridiculous amount of damage that are completely overtuned, and it makes the end game completely a laughing stock. We have an entitled fan base that doesn't actually want to ever pay for content, whether it be from Borderlands 3 when they decided to add in new content with a new season pass, or with a season pass 1 where they showed off a little bit of what we have in the future for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, but they don't want to pay for it because they just assume that it's content that's already finished, even though it most likely probably fucking isn't. Borderlands is a great franchise because it's always something I can go back to. I love playing it. I love creating new characters and experiencing new builds that I've never experienced before. I love re-experiencing the characters and the character writing and the jokes and the quips and all that stuff. Borderlands 2 is one of my most replayed games of all time just because it's something I can just always go back to. I love experiencing the guns that I've used before in the past. I love farming. I love killing bosses. I love killing raid bosses. I love just exploring the maps and see areas that I haven't seen before. And Borderlands 3 takes a lot of what I really liked about Borderlands 2 and kind of doesn't really do a whole lot. They took away a lot of the raid bosses. They made the maps too big. They gave us a lot of characters that I really don't give a shit about. They made a story that's kind of not too good, that doesn't have good villains, but I don't really mind that because how are they ever going to make a villain that was going to be as good as Handsome Jack? We have a fan base that completely misrepresents an entire character and blames her for everything for some goddamn reason. And sometimes the developers just don't kind of want to give us what we actually want. Sometimes we all ask nicely for us to be able to farm for stuff that's actually rare, like pearlescence and Borderlands 3, and they never give us pearlescence. I don't know why they never gave us pearlescence, but they just never did, even though we were all asking very nicely, as best as we could, for them to add a new rarity and give us a challenge in terms of loot. We would always ask for them to give us an entirely new character for us to play in Borderlands 3, but they never did that. Instead, they decided to give us a 4th skill tree that honestly didn't really change the game that much and didn't even really need to be added in the first place. Borderlands 3 is a great game. Borderlands 3 sequel is a great game. Borderlands 2 is a great game, and the original Borderlands is a great game. They're all great games that have a lot to offer, that have a lot of replay value, and I love playing all of these games. They're super fun, super enjoyable. I love the characters. I love farming for loot. I love shooting the guns. I love using guns that are super wacky and crazy, unlike anything that I've ever used in any other video game. But sometimes I get really annoyed by either our toxic, entitled fan base, the end game not being challenging or fun in any unique, specific way, or even the developers not giving us what we actually want and fixing the problems that are actually wrong with the game, or actually getting around to doing it to the point where it doesn't even matter anymore and they're already releasing their new game. I love Borderlands, I love playing Borderlands, but man, sometimes there's just a lot of wrong.